Thanks for staying on with us at Astro AWANI. You're watching Notepad with me, Ibrahim Sani. My voice is still, of course, being nursing over the past few days because of me screaming at my kids' game last weekend. And while that was an enjoyable game, I promise you this will be an enjoyable interview. Tonight, we shall discuss a little bit more about insurance. Please don't run away just yet, because the company that I have with me this evening is Munich Re Syndicate Labuan Limited, or MRS Labuan. Joining me is the General Manager and Chief Principal Officer, James Ng. James, again, thanks for attempting to make this interview a little bit more sexy. But one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to speak to you guys is because you guys are a reinsurer. Yeah. While we always have, fintech insurers coming on, or life insurers coming on, these are the kind of businesses that Malaysians are generally familiar with, and more or less knows what the kind of offerings and the services that they bring to the table. Yeah. But being a reinsurer, that's something new, because I think you're the first reinsurer company that I've had on my show. Let's talk about the reinsurance business first, before we jump into what MRS does in particular.
Sure. Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you for having me here. Let me just explain a little bit about reinsurance. So what we have here is, generally the public knows insurance, which is distributed by the insurance companies. So in the event, for instance, I'll give you a very good example. In the event of an insurance, in the event of catastrophe, an insurance company cannot bear the entire losses itself. Imagine if an insurance company bears $1 billion loss, overnight the company can actually go bankrupt. So what they do is then they actually seed out support. They actually seek support from reinsurance companies. So various parties will take a portion of the risk. It's a form of protection. So when...
So, hang on. So insurance companies are also insured themselves, is that what
yes,
you're trying
correct.
to say?
So it's the same like the individuals or companies that buys insurance from insurance companies. They actually buy reinsurance from reinsurance companies.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So it's like a Russian doll. So you open small insurance.
Yeah, you got.
So are you guys insured yourself?
So what you then have is reinsurers would then purchase retrocessions as well. So it's another form of reinsurance. So the reinsurance gets another layer of reinsurance themselves.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So Munich Re Syndicate Labuan Limited, MRS Labuan, is a so-called Tier 2 reinsurance reinsurer, or you have that Tier 2 reinsurance status. What does that mean?
Okay, so in Malaysia, you've got three tiers of markets. So you have the Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. Tier 1s are generally the local insurance companies and the reinsurance companies that are locally incorporated. Then you have Tier 2, which is Labuan Incorporated Reinsurance Company, and then Tier 3 are really offshore reinsurance companies. So the levels of tiers actually impacts the primary insurance company's risk-based capital charges. So if a primary insurance company actually gets reinsurance from a Tier 1 company, their risk-based charge is lesser in contrast to Tier 2 and Tier 3. So similarly, if you get it from a Tier 2, then it's lesser than a Tier 3 reinsurers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you say then that your clients are predominantly insurance companies? You don't deal with, say, individuals out there?
Yes, you are right. It is from insurance companies, but we have business partners such as brokers and reinsurance brokers that works with the insurance companies to actually place their risk, their reinsurance risk.
So are you a B2B or a B2B2C, something like that?
Oh, it's definitely a B2B.
All right.
Yeah.
And because of that, you face a little bit more of a aggregated risk profile, if I would say, because instead of having 1 million, customers or clients, you have far fewer than that, but because one could face a significant risk charge, you would therefore have to place a significant premium on this single clients of yours. Is that a fair?
Not a significant premium, but generally because our dealings are traditionally corporate company, so there is definitely higher aggregation as compared to if you were insuring individuals.
Okay.
A lot lesser clients, but definitely carries higher capacity, higher risk, Therefore, generally the premiums are larger by each transaction. Yeah.
Yeah, by each transaction. Okay.
Yeah.
But by virtue of you being a syndicate, so Munich Re Syndicate Limited has been operating as a Lloyd's syndicate since the 70s. So let's talk about the relationship with MRS Labuan, with Munich Re Syndicate, with that of Lloyd's.
Yep. So we are actually a service branch of the Munich Re Syndicate based in London. We've been established since 2013 in Malaysia with the Labuan license. And traditionally, we've been very focused on marine and energy for a number of years, and that's been our bread and butter. In the last 12 months, what we have done is we've actually expanded our capabilities to do other lines of business. The other lines are like financial lines. So financial lines business are D&O, directors and officers, professional indemnities, those like of business. At the same time, we are doing a lot more engineering business, like your contractors, plant and equipment. We've also done terrorism and political violence. The other part is contingency cover, so event cancellation, film insurance package.
Yeah, this is the fun part, right? All this sounds like it's a specialist kind of coverage that you offer. For instance, your D&O directors insurance,
officer,
that is more of executives and directors working in financial institutions to be protected as a personal liability. They don't want to. They want to protect themselves against any charges that are brought against them by their clients or by the regulators. There are only so much directors here in Malaysia, right, or executives working in banks, and I can't imagine more than 1,000. So that's like a very specialist kind of business. If you are doing this, and all you need is just another player coming into this, immediately turns into a red ocean. Am I not?
Contrary to that, there's actually quite a high. I mean, the demands for directors and officers insurance, we've seen an increase in that.
Yeah, after 1MDB, of course, man. Yeah.
Okay, so you said that. Obviously, there's a lot more. There's a lot more demand for that coming from certain incidences that's happened, and so a lot more companies, even SME companies, are also seeing the benefits of a D&O policies, because there are more and more regulations coming on, requiring companies to actually look at D&O policies.
Okay.
So we're seeing a huge influx in that.
So you're saying the pie is not as small as
it's definitely not. I mean, it's not just the public listed companies that are actually looking at the D&O requirements. It's the mom and pop shops that are seeing that, oh, you know what, there is definitely an exposure there that they could probably have to look at, and they're actually asking their agents or their business partners, or they're going directly to insurance companies to actually inquire about D&O and to protect themselves from any exposures.
Okay, we'll take a moment, we'll go for a break. When we come back, we'll continue on our conversation with James Ng of Munich Re. You're watching Notepad. I'm your host Ibrahim Sani. This evening we have James Ng, the GM and Chief Principal Officer of Munich Re Syndicate. Let's talk about financial lines then.
Okay.
One of the things that you said that you are diversifying right now is into financial lines.
Not just financial lines, but we're also having the capability to do engineering. We do quite a fair bit of species as well. Species product, I think maybe I could elaborate, because not many people understand what species means.
I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. So safe deposit boxes, Arahnu, jeweler's block, pawnbroking. There is actually an increased inquiry actually in terms of all these insurance requirements. So safe deposit boxes, for instance, traditionally what we see is the banks are the ones who actually offer safe deposit box to their consumers.
Yeah.
Correct. But these days you see a lot of private companies opening up safe deposit boxes, and with that, they are actually asking for insurance to cover them in the event of any losses or any theft. Yeah. So there is actually an increase in other lines, such as even Arahnu.
Okay.
which is
The pawnbroking
correct,
business.
Islamic
So
pawnbroking.
if people don't know, Arano is when an individual brings in the jewelry and they are offered the cash upfront in terms of that jewelry being pawned for the time being. They can also reimburse that particular jewelry at a certain time and date when
Correct.
the arrangement reaches maturity. And so the question is, Lloyds have been around, for instance, for decades, if not centuries, and the entry of you guys only in 2013. What's the allure of coming into Malaysia so recent, compared to you guys being around for the longest of time? Is there an opportunity for insurance to grow in this country?
We're definitely very committed to Malaysia. So we've seen the business growth since 2013. And I'll give you a very good example. It's still a couple of months away, 1.5 months away before we close for the year end. But we actually saw our business grow by 35% against prior year. And not only that, our bottom line has actually also improved quite well as well. So
you're having greater business margin in terms of the product?
It's good. It's very good, and that's the Malaysian environment that we have. It's the Malaysian industry because traditionally the industry is got lots of opportunity. It's prime for a lot of innovation.
Regulatory is also quite kind to you guys, right?
Regulatory, yes, but we do see potential liberalization next year, in the middle of next year. So that opens up the market for a lot of innovative products at the same time.
Okay, there's plenty to unpack right there.
Yeah.
Let's start with your 35% growth year on year. What is driving that growth? In what areas, in what divisions?
Okay, so early on I explained that we were traditionally marine and energy focused. Last 12 months, we've expanded that. We've done a lot of other businesses coming on. So that's actually provided us a lot more diversification. We are now recognized a lot more as a specialty reinsurer rather than just being a marine and energy reinsurer. So thankfully, our business partners has actually embraced the innovation that we are bringing into the market. And yeah, I mean, I'm saying that marine and energy for us has seen its growth, but at the same time, our other lines of business has equally grown exponentially as well.
It sounds like you rely a lot on your partners, and if your partners do not have the same appetite and desire to grow, it might impact your growth as well. Am I correct?
Every business intends to grow.
Yeah.
I don't.
Everybody wants more money.
Everybody, right? not exactly the kind of money. I'm not sure, but everybody intends to grow.
You just told me your bottom line just grew.
Yeah, definitely. We are doing very well, and at the same time, we're doing this to support the market.
Okay.
As we look into, or rather, as Malaysia's insurance market looks to eventually liberalize, there's prime for innovative products to come to market.
Okay, that's the second time that you mentioned that the market is going to liberalize, because that's my follow-up question actually.
Yep.
In what way will the market liberalize further in the realm of insurance? As you say, the timeline is actually next year. How is Malaysia going to liberalize its insurance market?
Okay, so currently now it's on a we've got a tariff regime for both motor and fire.
Okay.
There is an understanding that eventually it would liberalize. I think the next phase of liberalization is to come middle of next year. So if that happens, a lot of the business partners would look at other ways to expand their business. So while there was a lot of traditionally a lot of dependency on motor and fire for the business and the growth, once that moves towards liberalization, they would look for new products. So that's where Munich Syndicate Labuan would support them in coming up with all these new products where we already have an existing capability from years ago, and that's how we can bring it into Malaysia.
Why wasn't it liberalized before?
That's not for me to say, actually.
Why not? You're a player.
I think it's all regulatory driven, so it's something that it's on Bank Negara's plate.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So consumers can't find out why? Or?
Definitely, I think
because if liberalization is good, I mean the logic is if you go to a canteen, one shop is open, you're gonna have just the same thing, right?
Yep.
If you go to a canteen, there's 100 shops open. Yep. I mean that's the logic of it. But there must be one reason why Bank Negara constricts that kind of players in the market and products.
That's a very good question there. I do not have the answer for you, but I can say that I think Bank Negara is already looking at that, and I think they do see the benefit of eventually liberalizing the market.
Yeah, okay. And finally, let's talk about the kind of things that you will do in the next coming months and leading towards the early stages of 2020, because you have just been promoted to being a GM of Munich Syndicate. What would be some of the things that the market can actually expect from your company in the coming months?
So we are committed to, Munich Syndicate is committed to Asia, and at the same time, Malaysia is one of the core geographic areas for us. We are looking to expand the team, that's for sure. As the business grows, I think we require more resources, human resource, to actually cater to the market and support the business partners. So, and at the same time, we are looking to also include a few more innovative products. Probably products that are not readily available in the Malaysian market.
Can you share some of these products?
I can't immediately share that. It's still in the pipeline. So, but when it's available, I'm happy to provide details.
So what is the thing that you have to go through right now? Regulatory approvals or market
internal process, as simultaneously also regulatory approvals.
The business that you operate in, you report to your business owners in Singapore. Am I correct?
Yes, correct.
So does it mean that there's also other markets that also report to Singapore, not just Malaysia?
There are. It's China as well.
Oh, China as well.
Yes.
And with this, are they going through the same pace of growth as the Malaysian market, or Malaysia is slightly faster or slower than other markets?
The pace that we see from China and what we've achieved in Malaysia, I think we are on equal pace. And
what, with China?
That's my China counterpart there. Yeah, we are pretty much on equal pace. I see China also having, according to my colleagues in China, there's also equally a lot of potentials for Munich Syndicate in China.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because of the market there being nascent in the insurance industry.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds interesting. That was my conversation with James Ng, General Manager and Chief Principal Officer of Munich Syndicate Labuan. If you've missed any part of this interview, you can head on to astroawani.com. Look for Notepad there. Also, Astro AWANI has recently launched our revamped app. So if you've had trouble with our previous app, like me for instance, not a fan of it, you can actually enjoy the new app that we've just launched. But my technical guys have now said that you can't just renew the app. You have to delete the old app before you can download the new app. So those are the constraints that we are facing right now. So if you want to enjoy the new app, just delete the old one, download the new one from the Google Play and the Apple App Store. That's me for this particular episode. Thanks very much for watching, and goodbye.